tonight's episode of Let's Be Perfectly Queer with Randy Davis, we're talking to some of our local queer talent who are going to be performing on Wednesday evening at Georgian Theatre as part of the Slay Stigma Tour with myself hosting and the wonderful Trinity K. Bonet. Stay tuned for a great show, and we look forward to seeing you on October 16th at Georgian Theatre. Welcome to another episode of Let's Be Perfectly Queer with Randy Davis. Almost messed up my name there. On tonight's episode, we are focusing on the Slay Stigma Tour that is going to be in Barrie next week on October 16th. We've got 4 local queens and a local king performing, along with the P-Flag Choir and our headliner, Trinity K. Bonet from Season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race. The whole point of the Slay Stigma Tour is to do that. Slay Stigma and talk about you equals you, undetectable equals untransmittable, all around what it means to live with HIV in 2019. I've got some of our local queens who are going to be performing on the show on Wednesday evening with me here today to talk about the show, to talk about drag in general, and to give us an idea of what we can expect on Wednesday night. So I'm going to start off with my friend Carmen Del Rey and Jem Doche.
Randy.
Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. Pleasure.
Excellent. Well, I'm really happy that you're here. I'm thrilled that you're going to be part of the Slay Stigma Tour. It's obviously, as someone living with HIV, a very near and dear to my heart, and I've been fortunate enough to be asked to host the tour right across Canada, which is fabulous. The fact that we are back here in Barrie with not only our local queens to highlight yourselves, but to have what I believe is the first time a RuPaul's drag queen here in Barrie. I
don't think they've even made that north, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with Toronto, and then it sort of stops there.
You got it.
Harsh line right there on the map.
Everything's north when you get past Bloor, right? That's what they say in Toronto anyway. So tell me a little bit about your drag aesthetic,
Sure.
How long you've been doing drag, and a little bit about your history.
Excellent. So once again, my name is Carmen Del Rey. It's a pleasure to be here this evening as well. I've been doing drag professionally for 1 year. Rewind years ago, as heavy queer little child, we were trying on mom's dresses and messing around, but then I started taking it very seriously, and so did therapy. No, I'm
going to need that after the show.
I hear ya. And it was fabulous because I was in a direction of doing my own shows, just at karaoke shows in town. And I'm from Bradford, Ontario, so the community is quite small. So the start was, you could do what you can to get the gig, even if it was a shot of tequila and $5,
right?
You know, just to get your name out and become the entertainer. It takes work, it takes patience, and it definitely takes lots of that. It is not a cheap hobby.
Yeah, I think the first time I saw you perform was at the now defunct Lakeside Upper Deck.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that was a great start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where we met, of course, and that's where I first got onto stage. And I remember my first time on stage, I was about 6 feet away from the edge, so concerned because I couldn't see because of the lights and not having my glasses or my contacts or nothing in, and just going, oh, I'm okay. And then I kept watching the edge, and everyone was like, you're 5 feet, you're fine, move forward.
I was going to sort of interrupt there. I was going to say as well, even with drag itself, I was going to Sephora, and I didn't even know how to put on lip gloss for the sake of me.
Still don't.
Thank you. My sister.
There's the shade we were looking
I love her so much.
God, you're my favorite.
You're hurting me.
Yes,
no. We are sisters. She is actually part of the House of Devereaux. My drag mother, Miss Claire Dever herself, has been working for well over 35 years in the professional world of drag, and has also won a couple pageants as well. And the thing is about drag itself is when you have the mentorship and you have the guidance, it's just smooth sailing from there.
Yeah.
So it takes the time, but is completely rewarding. I would not have had the opportunities if it wasn't for drag. And it's a double persona, so it helps out. My boy name is Sheldon. The illusion's ruined. It's a man. But yes, moving forward, and it's quite an art form as well. Yes.
Oh, that's the big thing too. It's always constantly changing. Like my aesthetic when I first started is I'm going to do like 80s pop songs, really live up to that Gem name, because that old 80s cartoon Gem and the Holograms. That's where my name comes from. And I figured I'll just do like the big hair, the 80s stuff. And I realized while I enjoyed doing it, it just wasn't working for me. So I started to move into more like a Broadway kind of feel, or like the old town, like country music kind of stuff. Like just, trying to find like my niche. So I started out one way, changed directions, and I'm sure I'll change directions again.
Well, that's what, for me anyway, that fascinates me about drag, because you've said you've been doing it for a year now.
Correct.
And Lakeside Upper Deck opened about a year ago.
Yes.
So I would have seen you in the early stages of your drag, and and seeing you again today, I have seen that progression.
Thank you.
Jem, I was at your first performance at Lakeside, and I have seen a huge progression from your original drag. The same with your sister Justine. I remember when I first met Justine when I moved to Barrie, and I have pictures of Justine in drag when I first met Justine, and when I see Justine now, it's like the just up in the game. Every single time I see you girls, you've gone up to that next level. And I think that's absolutely fabulous. And I think part of that, I'm sure you'll agree, is the whole aspect of having that family behind you, that mentorship you talked about.
Yeah.
There has been queens without drag families. But when you want to go see a show, it's nice to see a solo performer doing their own thing. Yeah. But it makes a show when there is more performers, a family, there's a connection, and you can see it on stage. A lot of the younger queens, they think throw on a wig, a shake and go wig, call it a day.
Yeah.
No boobs, no ass, no nothing.
Hit Forever 21, grab a dress.
Got it. And you know what? It's a start, but then sometimes you'll get the mentorship from me or, Jem as well, saying, hey girl, rice tits. They're cheap. You put a little bit, you can stop. Now I'm losing my track here. Okay. Edit. So yes, with rice tits, it's a start, but it is a progression to get.
It's a start and a nice light snack.
There you go.
Can't wait till lunch.
You'll have to explain that. What are rice tits?
So basically, in the early stages of drag, especially when you're on a budget, basmati rice and stockings.
Yeah.
It gives the illusion.
Stuff those in the brassiere.
You got it. Sometimes I've cooked on stage as well.
Oh, when the lights are too hot,
Oh, girl. Get a little soy sauce and you're ready to go.
Yeah, well, I sweat soy sauce, so that just all works out for me.
That's the smell I smell on stage. But yes, the early stages of drag and mentorship is completely important. Some queens don't take the advice, and some queens do.
I mean, I took a lot of any advice that was given to me. I took with so much to heart, and I'm just like, so you're saying try this, and I'm going to try this, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you tried. I probably spend maybe 2 or 3 hours almost every day just doing a different face, trying a different lash, different eye, just trying to perfect the skills that I have, make them better than what they are. And I'm getting better.
Makes sense. That's you right there.
Well, yeah, and like I say, I've seen the progression in both of you, and I think it's wonderful. It shows that you actually have not only appreciation for the craft, but you're committed.
Yeah. And if I may as well, especially for drag as well, a lot of queens think they have to do all the new songs that are on the radio that's all the rage. Yeah. No, you can do your old school Bette Midler and your old school Whitney and Cher and all the classics. Sure. Drag has no age. That was one thing my drag mother did tell me. Yeah. Drag has no age. Yeah. And you can do any generation, because we're playing a character. We're not real human beings. Some of us have no soul.
Yeah. The big thing too, like when selecting songs, like I used to just try to go, what would everyone else like? And then my performances were just so stiff and wooden, and then I realized, forget what people like. Let's find what I like and make them like it. Yeah. And so from that, I started to evolve and go, I enjoy doing these and this and that, and was just like really, kind of finding, again, where I want it to be and just working within that.
What does a drag performance from Carmen Del Rey look like?
So a typical performance would start off, we start with our intros. Yeah. And we work there. We do a little bit of Kiki. If you don't know what Kiki is, Google it. Exactly. We don't have time for that here. Yeah. But then I like to do the generations of music. I always go by the audience. We, as entertainers, we should be having our music on USB sticks. Yeah. And you always come prepared. You look at the crowd. If you know you have a crowd of people in their 40s to this 60s range, you know you're going to do a little bit of the classics.
Right.
And if you have some of the young folks, what I seem to do, there's a fabulous channel on YouTube. Jem, we
Postmodern Jukebox.
Postmodern Jukebox.
Yes.
We like to take the newer songs that we hear on the radio today, and then it's sung in an older style.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
like a 1920s vintage kind of feel, and it's
So-
fantastic.
So there's a hot song on the radio right now, Old Town Road,
yes.
Old Town Road,
Yep.
which I seem to love. And I've overworked that number.
I'm already sick of it, but anyway.
But this fantastic cover we have, it's got like an Aretha Franklin kind of style to it, and
see, and that-
Carmen
right.
gets it perfect almost every time.
So you make it your own.
The tip show.
The tip show.
Just the cash is just dropping out of my pockets.
Always tip your drag queens.
Yes.
Always. It is definitely, it's definitely an art form and sometimes a living as well.
Yes.
And what about yourself, Jem?
Well, again, I just try to focus on songs that I love doing and then just getting them done. But when you come to one of my shows, I'm always changing, evolving. I won't lie to you, I'm still a little stiff on stage. I'm still fairly new to the game, so I'm still getting used to moving around in heels. I think I can comfortably run down up to 13 inches. I say comfortably.
Some of us have
Not that size really matters, but anyway.
Some of us have fallen off stage. I remember I was walking out of the dressing room one time from a show, clipboard in hand, pen. I started to slip, and my reaction was, oh, I don't want to land on this, and just tossed it across the room. And I think I would have gotten away with it, gotten up gracefully, if that clipboard didn't hit somebody.
I was just going to ask you, who did the clipboard hit?
It hit somebody who turned or saw me on the ground and yelled, "Queen down!" I was like, oh no.
And that's why I landed a goose head on my
Yeah, I'm hiding like a cone head point right now.
leg up.
That's the reputation.
That's
Leg up,
it.
boobs out.
Now, aside from the Slay Stigma tour happening Wednesday night, where else can our local folks see you perform?
Here's a little plug. Excellent.
Plug away.
So we call our pre-tickets? No. So we do perform at Big Daddy's in Newmarket, Ontario.
Yeah.
On Sunday evenings, and the show starts at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, and that's every week.
Correct.
Yep. Show starts right at 9, promptly. Like if a queen shows up late, we try not to wait for her.
I don't know.
Queens don't show up late, do they?
No, queens are never late.
Drag time.
Listen, I was very impressed at the timeliness of your arrival today for the taping. So I appreciate that. I really, really am grateful that you're part of the Slay Stigma tour. Please welcome Justine Diaz.
Hello.
And James P. Rick.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you very much for being with me this evening.
Thank you for having us.
Yourselves and my previous guests, Carmen and Jem.
Oh.
And there's another queen. Remind me who that is.
That would be Luna.
Luna will be joining you on stage.
That is correct.
With the P-Flag Choir and the wonderful Trinity K. Bonet. Yeah, I know. Season 6, RuPaul's Drag
No,
Race.
it's amazing.
What's fabulous about Trinity as well, not only is she an amazing queen, but she's also, like myself, living with HIV.
Yes, she is.
And as you know, that's the whole point of the Slay Stigma tour. We're going on tour to entertain, but to educate and let folks know what it means to live with HIV in 2019, and talk about the fact that those of us who are living with HIV, who are on our meds and have an undetectable viral load, can't pass it on. You know, you're not going to get HIV from me. Tell me why you thought being part of this tour would be important for you, and what message, besides just the wonderful entertaining that you do you want to bring to the show on Wednesday night?
Well, first of all, when I was asked to do the show by yourself, thank you very, very much. It, first of all, totally blew my mind because A, I get to perform on such a grand scale for such a wonderful function that is going out to support and help people living with HIV live a normal life and just be the people that they want to be and help end the stigma. Like, for most people don't even know that HIV has any like PrEP and PEP and all of these things. When I start talking to people about the U=U campaign and all those things, they have no idea. So I think for myself, it's a way for myself to help spread the word and spread the education through our community.
That's great. Yeah, it's definitely something that that is needed, and as much of the education that I've done since moving to Barrie, you're right. There are still vast numbers of folks that don't understand what it means to be undetectable, and still there's people out there that think sharing a glass of water with me is an issue. So
100%.
And what about you, James? What attracted you to becoming part of this tour?
Well, so many people are uneducated on HIV and what it actually is. They think it's, like you said, can't share a glass of water, can't even kiss, kind of thing. And I want to help educate those who don't know. When I was asked to do the tour, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to help spread the awareness and the education, and just be part of something that's growing and being more aware.
Right. What does a performance look like when you're on stage, James?
I try not to be all over the stage looking like I don't know what I'm doing. I pretend I know what I'm doing.
You gotta fake it till you make it, right?
Exactly.
And how long have you been doing drag?
3 months, to believe
Really?
it or not.
Wow.
It's only 3 months, and I've come this far, and I've grown so much, and I've learned so much. I know there's more that I need to learn. I need more stage presence, more performance, and I need to learn how to dance like a man, or
Right.
dance.
Well, it's like I was speaking with Carmen and Jem. It's an evolution too,
Yeah.
right? And I mentioned previously how much I have seen you, Justine, change from the time we met, almost 3 years ago now. And your aesthetic, and you're just. Every time I see you, your game level just keeps going up, and I think it's absolutely fabulous. I love to look back at some of the old pictures that I have of us together in the alley of Fox Lounge.
Those were the good old days.
But to see where you've gone from there and the things you've done is absolutely wonderful. So tell us a little bit about that journey that you've had.
Well, it's been an amazing journey. I've had a lot of wonderful people in my life give me direction. Like Carmen was saying, you know, with them being a part of the Devereaux family and like having that family connection, having people help you, it's a wonderful thing. I unfortunately don't have a drag family, so I've kind of learned on my own with the help of other drag queens, watching tutorials on YouTube, asking my makeup artist friends for help, and just sitting in my room, like Jem was saying, sitting in your room, sitting in front of your makeup mirror and just painting. Trying a new contour technique, a new eye technique, a different way to like glue your lashes on, just something that's going to work for you, because what works for one performer doesn't always work for another, so you kind of have to find where your niche falls. For myself, my aesthetic is classy yet trashy, so I am like a 50s, 60s housewife meets Barbarella. I really enjoy a lot of classic looks, but I really like to throw it down with some like old school R&B and like get down and dirty. So
Right. And what about yourself, James? What sort of aesthetic do you go for when you're?
I go for more of the dapper look. I do some punk rock. I love rock. I love to just move around on stage. I want to explore my talents, see where I could go. Like, I want to get into hip hop. I'm going to be taking hip hop dance lessons soon.
Oh, cool.
And I would love to learn tap, because I know like that's a really big one with the 1920s songs that I like to do.
Right.
absolutely.
And I know Justine is a local queen, as in Barrie local. What about yourself?
I am originally from a small town called Mount Albert.
Okay.
It is just a small little country town surrounded by trees, forest, farm. And I never really saw myself here back then when I lived out in the country.
Right. So what is it that attracted you to drag?
Well, I've always, like, RuPaul's Drag Race, but I always thought, wouldn't it be cool if women could dress up as men?
Right.
And I've wanted to do that, and I never knew where to start until this coming year. And I've been watching Drag Kings on YouTube and Instagram, and I've been learning from them, because it's a different makeup contouring and
Sure.
different eyes, and it's a completely different era for
Right, because
makeup.
it's one thing for a man to put on makeup to become more feminine, and
For
the
a
same
woman to
process,
be-
right? Only sort of in reverse,
It's
I
the
guess.
complete opposite. Yeah, you have to like chisel and emasculate your face instead of trying to soften and feminize your
Yeah.
face. It's the art of drag. Whether you're a king, a queen, a hyper queen, you know, whatever your genre of drag, a bearded queen. I love it all. The whole umbrella of drag and everything that belongs
There's
underneath it.
no limits.
There's no limits. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's great about drag, or at least the drag that I've always seen, is that acceptance of all the variations of what drag can mean to an individual.
Yes.
It really is, it's personal, right?
Yeah, big time.
And I think that that acceptance is part of what this show is all about as well, and making sure that, I don't want to just highlight queens, but kings, and certainly hyper queens and bearded queens.
Absolutely.
There is a rumor
bearded
that at some stop along the way on this Slay Stigma tour, I may actually host one of the shows in drag.
Nice.
Whether it will be next Wednesday in Barrie, I don't know. That will sort of be up to you, I guess, too, because if it is Barrie, I'm going to need some help getting this to look like a queen.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah?
We can do that. I can beat your mug, no problem.
And I would need a drag name, too.
That's fine. We'll figure something out.
I've got one, but I can't say it on air because
Okay.
I don't know that it's appropriate.
That's fine. We'll keep it PG.
It's a wonderful name, but I probably can't use it. My husband tells me not to anyway. So Wednesday night, we've got the Queens, we've got Trinity, we've got the choir. We're doing a meet and greet afterwards, hopefully for everyone, but certainly for the first 50 folks that will be there. What can you tell us a little bit more about what your performance is going to look like at the show?
Well, I'm like James was saying, dancing is a huge thing when it comes to drag. Being able to hold yourself in either masculine or feminine manner on stage, and that was something that I always had a hard time with. Like I said in an interview, it's kind of hard when you lumber around like a fridge in high heels. But I've been dancing now as a guest performer with the Army of Sass, which is a local high heel dance troupe. They're actually all over Canada, but Barrie, Army of Sass Barrie, shout out, what? I've been an honorary member since last January, and I just joined them last session, and we actually just started our new session this past week, and I will be having a few of those lovely ladies join me on stage. We're going to do a choreographed dance number with, I have 4 high heel backup dancers to shake their booties with me and make me look ultra feminine professional.
That's fantastic. I've seen some posts of you with the Army of Sass, but unfortunately all of your performances have been when I haven't been in town to be able to enjoy those.
Well, there's one coming up in November. It's going to be our Christmas show. So
cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Well, you have to let us know about that.
100%.
For sure. And James, a little teaser on what we're going to see?
You will see something dark, something out of the box, a little bit out of the ordinary for me. Usually I like to interact with the audience, but for this number I won't be. I will be showing them off, if anything, and making them more intrigued and entertained. Just love the entertainment.
Interesting, yeah. I'm excited as well.
Trying to bring a little bit of sexuality into it too.
Okay.
So have a few moves that I want to work on, so.
That's awesome. Are you one number each, or?
Yeah,
I'm not sure of the setup myself yet.
We're all doing one number each. So
Okay.
there's 5 of us performing, as well as Trinity being the headliner, plus the choir.
Right.
And sorry, who else is going to be there as well?
Just the Queens, Kings, Trinity, the choir.
And the choir, yeah. So all of us will be doing our numbers, and the choir will be performing, and I know Trinity will probably be capping off the show. So
yeah, I know at one point Trinity and I are going to do sort of a little Q&A and talk about the reason for the show. And
absolutely, and I think that's the most important thing too. Everybody that I've been speaking to, they're so excited, not just for the drag performance, but to actually come and learn about HIV, where it's at now. Growing up, a child of, I should say, in my sexual childhood as a teenager, late teenage years, was in the 90s and early 2000s. And so when we were learning sexual health, it was to be afraid and don't touch people and wrap yourself in rubber. And, we were afraid of who we were and as sexual beings. And now we live in this age of information, education, and medication. And, people living with HIV nowadays live a normal, healthy, everyday life and grow up to be old. It's not a death sentence anymore. And I think a lot of people still have that mindset. So I think this show going across Canada is going to do wonders for the Canadian community. Yeah,
certainly raising that awareness is a big part of the reason why I got involved in this show. And you're right, it's not a death sentence any longer, but part of the big issue is the fact that while we had back in the early days of the epidemic all these public health campaigns to protect each other, we're not seeing that same sort of campaign to let folks know what HIV looks like today. So there's a lot of misinformation out there and antiquated information that needs to be shed, because unfortunately in 2019, there are still folks that die every day of age-related illnesses. And when we have the medication and the knowledge that all you need to be is on your meds and you can get that undetectable status, and even that, quite frankly, even if you are living with HIV and you aren't undetectable, you're still very little risk to anyone, you know, of being able to contract the illness. And I liken HIV to diabetes.
100%.
It's a chronic illness.
Yeah.
I take a pill a day, and I'm fine.
100%.
It's easier to manage than diabetes because I'm not constantly checking my my blood levels. I get lab work done every 6 months, and
another thing that I think people need a little bit more information on is where to get the medication from and how to be able to afford the medication.
Yeah, and that's certainly a big challenge for us locally too. Aside from doing this show, as you know, I'm also the Gay Men's Sexual Health Coordinator at the Gilbert Center and do a lot of education around that and have a sexual health clinic that we run once a month. And yeah, certainly access to medication and access to healthcare, period, in an area as vast as ours and rural makes it very difficult.
Absolutely, it does.
But there are resources out there, like the Gilbert Center, to help folks if they have questions and concerns, and we've got doctors in Toronto that we can rely on as well. I have my HIV specialist is in Toronto, and my visits with him are all on the laptop. We chat for 5 minutes and send me requisitions, and away we go. Yeah, exactly.
Gotta love technology, right?
Absolutely. Listen, I am so grateful to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you so much.
I know it's a little much to get up early in the morning, even though we're broadcasting at 9 in the evening. This show is taped in the morning, and doing drag this early can be a bit of a challenge. So I appreciate all the work that you've done to be here today.
No worries.
And I am incredibly grateful that you're going to be part of the Slay Stigma Tour as well.
We are
going to be
incredibly grateful to be a part of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Justine. Always a pleasure. James, pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
That's all for today. Remember, Wednesday, October 16th, Georgian Theatre. The Slay Stigma Tour is there live with the wonderful Trinity K. Bonet from season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race. And I'm hosting, so why wouldn't you be there? Thanks very much, folks. Have a good night. Gary, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. The audience knows, and you obviously know, that the positivity campaign is very near and dear to my heart as someone living with HIV. It's extremely important that we spread the word about what it means to folks living with HIV and the stigma associated with that. So just tell me a little bit about the positivity campaign, what you've been doing this summer, and what you've got coming up this fall.
Of course, yeah, it's my absolute pleasure. So we're actually going to 24 prides all across Canada, from coast to coast to coast, and I personally get to go to 13 prides. I'm so excited.
I've been to 7.
It's been amazing. And at each pride we have a booth, and at this booth we have a pledge that says people will use less stigmatic language when talking about HIV and people living with HIV. They sign the pledge, they get tickets to our national drag tour to see Trinity K. Bonet from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6, which is going to be super exciting. We're also going to have local drag performers and certain other performers in different cities.
I get to host the entire Slay Stigma Tour at all 24 locations across Canada this October, and I am completely gobsmacked to have been asked to do this. Totally honored, and I cannot wait to spend 30 days with a drag queen.